Always positive vibes up in here. Grambo grows. Shout out to Cannabis Vibe for that awesome theme song. He's I don't know if he works or something. He's always like, oh man, I showed up late. So he's never late. When you make the theme song for me, you're the fucking man. What up, Haldor? What up to Rue? Speaking of Rue, there I did the Seed to Harvest podcast, the Seed to Harvest podcast, and yeah, it was awesome hanging out with you guys. So it was pretty sweet. Here we go. What up, buddy? TG, you were the first one up in here. Laid back dad, what up, Dankster? All the crew hanging out. Shout out to Chad Westport. Chad Westport's in, man. If I can get you next week, you want to hang out next week, Chad Westport? And if I can't get Chad Westport, I'm gonna get you. Do you right genetics? I see you down there on Instagram. Ames, you're the man. I'm gonna post that photo of you and I. That was it was awesome to get a chance to take that photo with you. Walk into the spot. And shout out to my man. I don't know if I'm using his Christian name out there, but his name's L420DGC. I just call him Lloyd. What up, Lloyd? My second ever member. I have memberships now for YouTube. That's so awesome. YouTube got me into the partnership program, and so now I have the ability to actually get memberships and everything. You want me to tell you dad joke? Do you write genetics down in the Instagram chat over there? He wants to hear a dad joke. You know what? I'll tell you the joke that I tell every single girl. Anytime a girl ever asks me for a joke, I tell her the same joke. It is stolen from a buddy of ours, Jeff Stonick, awesome comic here in Denver. And the joke is we recently found out that my grandma sleeps in the nude. So now no one in the family hopes she dies peacefully in her sleep. That's it. I've told that joke to probably 3 dozen strippers, and it just never doesn't do the things I need it to do. What up, Jack? What up, Cav? I gave a friend of mine, my friend's moving back to Tennessee here soon, and he asked me for some genetics. So gave him some, one of the Cav things. I don't know which one I gave to him, but yeah. What up, Joe? Jim? Yeah, Chad Westport, Fuego Pizza. Shout out to our buddy Raider Dank Vader. He was hanging out at the DGC Cup serving up pizza. That was awesome. Hundreds of people. I think I heard there's 500 people that came to the event. That was pretty fun. What? Chonky Nugs, my man. Thank you. So now I have 3 members. Shout out Fontucky, L420 DGC, and now Chunky Nugs. It's a perfect opportunity to bring up the membership thing, right? So I have a hard time. I put all my creative energy into, you guys know my repertoire. I'm with Dude Grows. I'm with freaking Jug Dealers. I'm over here. I'm over there. I'm zigging. I'm zagging. And so it's hard for me to put a lot of effort into this channel. I really, really want to. I put out my night owl video. I was like, let's see. I put out my first the top 5 strains for sleep video, and it got like 5, almost 10,000. That was pretty sweet. So then I put out my second video. That's got like 65,000. So I was like, I should actually take this seriously. But I don't really have all that much time. What I need is a producer. And so I've decided the Jug Dealer guys and the Dude Grow Show, they take care of me. I'm able to take my kid out to eat. I'm able to put grow hats on my bald head. So I'm not worried about the money that comes from here. So I decided what I'm going to do is every single dollar that comes in via super chats, the thank you button, memberships, or any sort of sponsorship that may come of this thing, I'm going to hire an assistant producer, an editor, a camera guy, come out with me. So anybody over there in Instagram land, anybody here in chat, if you guys are in Colorado and you want to come train under me, I'll teach you what I know, and you can help me grow my channel, and you can get paid while you're learning the job. So yeah. So thank you so much, Chonky Nugs. You are my 3rd member, and like I said, all that money is going to go towards the channel. I'm going to build this thing out right. I learned from Scotty Real that if there's a job that you're struggling to do, pay someone good to do it. If you have money, pay professionals to help you. That's what he does. That's how he built Real Growers. That's how they built Dude Grows. They're smart guys over there in the Real Growers, Dude Grows family. So learning from them, I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna talk to Sicko Grows about it. Jerry's been coming over. He trims up my beard every other week. I got a beard guy now. Fucking shout out Jerry. Comes over. I got an in-house beard guy, so he keeps me looking sharp, living the life. What up, 604? Angie, man. Sage advice indeed. I always say some of my friends will like tell me, they'll give me the spiel of like, "Oh, Grambo, you're so lucky. You're so goddamn lucky." And I can't not admit that my life is very, very lucky. I've gotten so lucky with what I have, in the last couple of years, gotten to be a part of and do and build. But I worked very hard. I spent half a decade thanklessly making no money, like plying my craft, figuring this all out. If there's one place where I am for sure lucky, I have great mentors. I have some of the smartest guys on earth, real weed smoking businessmen who, if I'm just going to listen to some businessman, I'm not just going to listen like, oh, here's what you just should do, Sonny. I don't know. Do you really have anything that applies to like my life that I'm leading? But these awesome stoner businessmen, you're goddamn right. I'm going to listen to every single word they have to say. They're freaking brilliant. Yo, Ohio. I did have a great weekend. My ex was out of town, so it was dad weekend all the way. It was just daddy daughter weekend. It was pretty awesome. It concluded here, just me putting her to bed just a little bit ago. Got a little bit emotional. It's kind of weird. So the Super Mario Brothers movie comes out, right? Well, that's my generation. I grew up hardcore on Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers Super Show, bro. Captain Lou Albano. Take one step and then again. That's the fucking Mario theme song. Oh, GG. There's so many. Here's the thing. I mean, I don't even have to get a time to get into how bullish I am on the cannabis market, man. There's so much room. After I got done with the Seed to Harvest podcast yesterday, I gave them a little, you know, speech at the end of it where I was just like, hey man, this cannabis niche, it is big enough for everybody. It is a great time to get in. Whoa, success McGimmicks, you're High C. What up, High C? High C's in the Instagram chat. Success. Oh, Magica. I'm dyslexic. I'm not a very good reader. Success Magica. Follow High C. Speaking, yeah, this is the thing about High C. This man, I talk about how I have great mentors, and I conjure him over here in the Instagram chat. So lucky, like I said, having these mentors between Scott, Brett, High C, all the guys that I get to meet through the 5A crew, hanging out with Jair from Gavita in Las Vegas was really, really life changing moment for me to hear about. No one told him he could do double endeds. No one told him he could market to cannabis. No one told him that you could take the glass off. Remember when you had to grow in glass? You had to fucking sealed lights. That was insane. You're venting your lights. What an insane world. Grambo grows. Let's see what we got. We got to highlight what Chad Westport. I don't want to do weed businessman. I want businessman. I want to do business with a weed man. Goddamn right. There's a song that goes around on Instagram right now. I'm a motivated stoner. Mm, love that song. I'm a motivated stoner, man. Spent my whole life being an unmotivated stoner, and here in the last couple years, what up, owl? Shout out to the owl. Love the owl. Shout out to Night Owl. Shout out to all the homies. So yeah, if you guys decide you want to drop a thanks, super chat, or be in the membership program, go ahead and do it. That's gonna go towards this channel. And I have my first ever members only video out. Is me and Scott and Taking Tops all hanging out in the bakery. Thank you, High C. You are the man. I've learned so much. Literally, High C gives me like I should pass on High C's book recommendations. Some of the things that have changed my life the most. What which is a coos? Why is your name Witch is a coos? In Italian, doesn't coos mean pussy? I'm pretty sure like the coos, nice piece of coos. And so I'm pretty sure the witch you're like I always say your name's Witch is a pussy. And I am down with that. Isn't that right, double A? If you can't find double D's, get some double A's. That's what I say. Hell yeah. So yeah, I was hanging out with my daughter. It was pretty freaking awesome. We watched a Super Mario Brothers movie. It got me all nostalgic. I'm sitting there watching her react to Bowser and all these freaking like characters. She's like, "Who's that guy?" I was like, "Oh, that's the shy guy. He originally appeared in Super Mario's Brothers 2, which actually isn't Super Mario's Brothers 2. It's a Japanese game called Doki Doki Panic." She doesn't care. She doesn't care about any of that shit. How interesting is it that Man, Scotty, I've seen more topless Scotty than I care to. Those Saturday morning shows, those robes, they don't stay shut all the time. Secret Life of Plants, the Jug Dealers guys, Gabe and Jaren are obsessed with that book. I want to check it out. You're saying it's on Audible. All right, I'm gonna download it. I have 2 extra credits this month. I got a little lazy on my book downloads, but High C gave me an awesome book. I did download. It's a short one, 40 minutes about keeping. It's funny how that book about keeping things simple is very short. Would you trust a 10-hour book about how to keep things simple? I don't know if you would. Thank you, Joseph. That means so much to me. Hit that like button, but really share it. The like button, that's awesome. We love the like button. That's more of a vanity metric. It makes me feel good that you guys hit the like button, but hit that share button. That really, really does help out that cannabis community. They can't shut us up if you guys share us. That is a thing that goes on. Does Grambo's beard guy do chest too? You tell me, baby. You tell me. You're goddamn right he does chests. Yeah. Yeah, no, this is the Raider Dank Vader. He's the official DGC chef in chief. He was whipping up hamburgers and bacon wrapped hot dogs with the DGC cup. That was really get any of that stuff. Brian, you working right now? Shout out to you, buddy. G Money Love has joined. That is exactly the man I've been waiting for. So if you guys saw last week, definitely it was awesome hanging out with Eugene Green Monroe and G Money Love Gabe. Was pretty sweet. Gabe is my fellow jug dealer. I'm a junior jug dealer. Gabe's an actual jug dealer. And yeah, so I figure since he's on the road, I'm not going to get to hang out with that dude for another hot minute. Figure let's see if we can get him going back. And yeah, so let me find him real quick here in the Instagram, and I will send him over this link. Yeah, if you guys are familiar with Gabe, he is the one of the jug dealers. He's one of the most knowledgeable growers on earth. He is paid money to go travel state to state, country to country, and teach people about how to grow the dank. So I can't imagine that I could have a better person. Let's see. I don't know any Italian. Laugh out loud. The Witches of Coos is an old poem. I once met a witch of pussy, and she turned me into quite a wussy because every time I looked, it turned into a book. And then my dick went limp. Thank you. The Road Less Traveled by G. Gordon Liddy. I was making Scott laugh all weekend. I don't know why I had this thing about we were watching the UFC fights. And I just kept telling him that it was sponsored by Geronimo's Tummy Butter. Geronimo's Tummy Butter. When you think tummy butter, think Geronimo's. I don't know what tummy butter is, but it's making him laugh his ass off. Garden of Weeds. What up? So yeah, let's see what's going. I got that sent out to those boys. So yeah. And as I was just clicking over there, freaking how do we get our hands on his magic mushroom? Who's magic mushrooms? Who you need magic mushrooms? What state you in? They pretty much legal. Wizard of Oz grows in the Instagram chat from Australia. Shout out to all the international Gram fam. I really, really, I love having the anybody hit me up and give me love all around the country. But man, whenever the international Grand Fam hit me out, it just blows me away. I got I got invitations to hang out in almost every city in this freaking country. If you're still out here, Rue gave me an invitation to come down and hang out in Austin. That's where they do Kill Tony. That's where the new Rogan Club just opened up. I've been wanting to get down to Austin. A friend of mine, comedian Mandy Kay, just moved down there a year ago, 6 months ago. So I've had a an awesome invitation to get down there, but I never like to impose on the comedians. They're very busy. It's very clicky. You never know what you're going to get in down there. But the Cannabis fam, I know you guys got me. So Rue, I'll be coming out and staying with you once I get a chance. So yeah, the busy weekend as we're waiting for Gaber to get in here. Was like shoot shit about grow. It's time to flip, baby. It is time to flip. I got those 3 genetics from JLS Monster, and it is time to flip. So I got 5 plants. They are about knee high to a grasshopper right now, about the exact perfect time that you want to get your plants flipped over. So Pretty awesome. I got this laser moose. It is preposterously vigorous so far. Just that's such tight internodal spacing. Everything I've been growing the last, I don't know, year, it's always been lanky. I kept thinking that like maybe I'm doing something wrong. Am I losing my touch? But finally, this strain's making me look good. The internodal spacing is tight as balls. Hey, outside of Chicago. I lived in Evanston for a while. So I only slightly hate Chicago because of my ex. She was Chi-Town driver. So my man just came in. So yeah, what a better time to talk about flipping it than with my man, Jug Dealer Gabe. What up? G Money Love. What up, buddy?
How are you?
Do I got audio? Hmm. Let me make sure that I have the right I do not have the right headphones. Now I got the right headphones. Gabe.
There we go. We back?
There we go. I'm back.
Nice.
What up, dude?
Not too much, man. Just enjoying the East Coast here.
Yeah, you're over in Maryland, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
It's always interesting back here because it's so much more humid. So
Mhm.
like, Colorado, like when you're growing, let's say even just your outdoor garden, like watermelon and squash and stuff like that, it takes so much water and you just get so little yield.
Mm,
And out here it just, dude, the air is so thick, that
right.
everything is just so vigorous and it just grows so well. So it's just it's always interesting to come back here, and see just the difference in things. A lot of people don't realize, but like, 100, yeah, I do cannabis stuff, but I grew up doing trees and shrubs and plants around the East Coast. And like, a lot of people don't realize that, like, you had all these rich, like, Rockefellers and DuPonts and all these people who had a lot of money back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And
All right.
they traveled the world, and they brought back, like, all these different specimens of plants from all around the world. And the East Coast is where most of these are the most mature, where you see 100, year old specimens of Japanese trees. We saw some of the first orange azaleas that came into the country. There's these trees, these Japanese trees, which I love, but they're called the Katsura trees, and they smell like burnt sugar in the fall. You
All
know,
right.
it smells like caramelized sugar, and you always know when you're around one because you can smell them, and it's such a pleasant smell. But again, it's just one of those things about the East Coast that, like, you know, um, I was talking with my son about it, and they started watching, especially for any of the people, because I know Grambo gets a lot of international listeners. So
Yeah.
for any of the people around the world who watch this, like, the original capital of the United States was Philadelphia, and then, as the South kind of grew with slavery and stuff, they wanted more of a representation more towards the South. So that's why Washington, D.C. was originally built, but
Mhm.
I think War of 1812, they actually burned down the original White House, so like Philadelphia was when DC was still a swamp. Philadelphia was a thriving metropolis, and as far as the United States goes, it was probably in 1770 whatever, it probably was the biggest city in the United States at the time. So there's a lot of history there. Whereas like Colorado became a state in 1876, or 1875. It's the Centennial State. So it's just there wasn't much going on in Colorado in 1775. There wasn't much going on in Colorado in the 1850s.
So you're an East Coast weed guy. Maybe you can shine some light in an old urban wives' tale I always heard. So I always heard stories from my guys, like my guy's guy back in the late '90s and everything, about where all this good diesel and everything was coming from, and they'd always be like, it's some like Massachusetts, like weird base underground thing. And I heard like Pineapple Express, the underground bunker in Pineapple Express was based on that story about the underground bunkers of Massachusetts where they're growing all this weed and like decommissioned government bit
Those
shit. Have
guys,
you ever heard of any of that?
I mean, if you go to AJ's, if you go and look at the AJ's episode with First Smoke, I think he talks about a lot of it because a lot,
Yeah.
a lot of that weed was coming out of New York. I mean, I could tell you, I got clones of sour diesel in like summer of 2000, I believe. It was either some no. It was probably summer, maybe it was fall of 2000. But I had a buddy of mine who flew that cut to me in a spring green salad. This is pre TSA.
Yeah.
So TSA didn't exist yet. But I knew a bunch of cats that used to grow that kind of in New York. I think if you look at AJ's story, like he was growing it maybe in Brooklyn in the city, but like a lot of that stuff did come from New York. I'm not denying that there might not have been some guys in Massachusetts who were running it, you know. Dude, AJ's been running it out in California for years at this point. You
And so
know,
talk about AJ. You mentioned AJ a lot. This is AJ Sauer, obviously. He's one of the keepers of the diesel, as it were.
asshole Joe.
Okay.
But that's what AJ stands for, is asshole Joe.
Oh, is that right? I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
that's what AJ stands for, is asshole Joe. You
It's
know what
old
I mean?
Joe.
And what,
Okay.
dude, he's very New York. He was over in Amsterdam in the early '90s. Like, I mean, I think when it comes to dudes like AJ and JJ, um, and some of these dudes that have kind of been the keepers of certain genetics, like you got to give them some amount of respect. For the longest time, them holding these things is what made them worth. Dude, I mean, I've not seen Chem that high. I've seen Puck, in which those guys were kind of involved with Puck as well. That's Rob Carney up in Crested Butte, but it's still P Bud, AJ, like that whole crew fucks with that shit. But that Puck I've paid $8 grand a pound for.
It's
That
so crazy meeting these guys. Like you introduced me to P Bud, and it was one of the craziest things. Just like you meet these guys, and you think they're like these like international men of mystery, and you meet them, it's like, oh, you're just like a normal guy, like I'd hang out with in my regular friends crew. It's so these dudes are awesome. All these legends.
so when I used to work at Grassroots, they were like hey, we need a bio. We need you to film a bio about weed and stuff. And at this point, the story's the same. I always tell people, people are like, well, when did you get into growing weed? I'm like, winter of '96. And they're like, well, why did you start doing it? And I'm like, I really just did it to support my snowboarding habit. I just
All right.
I just did it to, and like, when I said that to these guys, they're like, well, you can't say that. And I'm like, but that's the truth, dude. Like, I was a freshly 21-year-old kid. I had it's 1996. Snowboarding, like, wasn't what it is. It was very
I
new.
remember. I'm old enough to remember when it was like not a thing people did.
Yeah, it was very, I mean, there were mountains that still didn't let you snowboard, so it was
Wow.
very new back then. And dude, I tell the story like we had hooked up with some Canadians. So we actually started running weed from Canada and stuff. Like this wasn't anything I looked for. It just fucking happened, but
Mhm.
like, we just started making money to the point where it was like, hey, I can go snowboard every day, and I'm a 21-year-old kid, and I don't have to have a fucking job. So that's what I did. And meanwhile, like I was a fish kid, man. Like, like if I could go on tour and make money on tour and have it sustain, so that was kind of what we did that first year. I took a picture. I was just up in Missoula a couple weeks ago, and I took a picture of the first house I grew weed in, just for nostalgia. And like they've painted it green, or they painted it blue. It used to be green. I used to be like this pale, like 70s fucking green. And then I saw a bunch of my friends who like we used to do shit back in the day, and it was like it was so refreshing, man. Like it's so nice to see like that we're still here, that
Yes.
none of us. What's the question?
Well, it's a question that I think it's one of amongst the smokers of the world. It's of our age. It's one of the most common questions. Where can you get the diesel? Now, here's a grow question I can ask of you. Is it because this is something like I always heard that the diesels were very, very altitude dependent with the VPD and whatnot. Is there any validity to that they
Yeah,
don't grow up here versus sea level?
I mean, look, dude. If you go on my page, the picture where I'm holding up my two arms, I think the one on the left is sourdough, and like it definitely grows pretty chunky down at sea level. The reality is, in my opinion, um, I think that most people back then were grown with general hydro nutrients, and so I just feel like the general hydro really lended itself to
Here's what when I think of Gabe, I
yeah,
always think of this
yeah,
picture.
the ones on the right hand side. If you're looking at the picture, the ones on the right hand side, that's all sourdough, and
Oh
like
my god.
are fucking monsters, dude.
Those are monstrous. And that's
But
here?
like that was in Maryland. That was in
Okay.
Maryland. Like that garden was super dialed. Again, I think personally, I think they grow better under HPSs, because I think a lot of those genetics, ChemDs, SourDs, OGs, any of those genetics that were selected, and Jaron likes to throw that term around a lot, and I agree with him. I think they were selected under the HPSs,
Right.
or under even sunlight, under, let's say they were selected outside. I think those things in general are probably going to be more vigorous under HPSs. And I think a lot of this newer stuff, these gelatos, these cakes, these things that were selected, the sherbs, the trops, shit that was selected under LEDs is probably going to have a propensity to grow. The morphology is just going to be better under LEDs. I don't even like I used to get mad about it, and like I don't even hate it anymore, man. Like it's just like it is what it is, man. And I'm not
I think of it like humans. Like you got dark skinned people from sub-Sahara Africa, you got light skinned people from Northern Europe, and we have different things we need from light intensity to stay healthy.
and it's funny because I'm writing the next episodes the for the podcast, and I
For
just
the
did.
Jug Dealers Podcast every Tuesday at 4:20 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You might have to read the questions to me. I don't have my glasses. If
Sometimes they're just comments. I'll throw up comments about things and everything. But if we get a good question, I'll definitely. There's a question. Mailman grows. He always has some of the best questions. Are you
is
familiar with
that Nick
SL 100? What's that?
is that Nick Mailman?
I don't think so, but I also don't know. I only I only know people by their screen names. So yeah, he wanted to know if
If it
SL100 helps with sediment in a res. I don't even know what SL100 is.
you talk about the SLF?
It just says SL100. Is there SLS 100? I don't know.
It's an SLF. It's like you used to use it. You used to use it with what the hell is Scott's nutrient? Nectar of the Gods. But when you would get that calcium buildup on the top fucking layer, like because there's so much calcium in that stuff. If you've ever used it before, it's like it's
Oh,
complete.
that I did. I used the Hurt and the
Yeah,
Minas throughout my entire professional growing career.
yeah, it's Mail. That's Nick Mailman. Hey, what's up, Nick? I still love your gear, bro. Nick breeds. If you guys want like really wild out there shit, dude, Nick breeds for terps because he's a washer.
Is that you, mailman? Is this I got to know
That's
some
the
more.
yeah. He's talking about the SLF. You know, I don't know about the sediment and the resi, dude. I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people use it for the gods, you know, to break up that cake layer that kind of that.
He said he is not Nick Mailman, but we'll let him go.
Nice. Nick breeds some really wild stuff, dude. Um,
Good day from
hey,
Australia, mate. Hell yeah.
what's up, Dab? Hey, we love to see the people from the other side of the planet. It's so cool.
It
Uh,
is. It blows our mind. Just so you know, if me and Gabe are on the same page, just being little small town American boys, can't believe the rest of the world knows who we are.
it is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't know as far as breaking up the sediment. I mean, realistically, new like most of the elements that or most of the nutrient companies that you're going to see nowadays are using processes where there's not much sediment at all. Anything you're going to see fall out, like I've told you guys in the past, is probably going to be iron. You know, it's probably going to be something that's that number 3 that's just bonding. When I say number 3, I mean positive 3 element charge. But so it might fall out. But most of the stuff you're seeing nowadays isn't having that sediment. In which, with New Millennium, we want that sediment to go in because it's good. Because mostly it's colloidal clay.
Yeah, the thing about the colloidal clay being that clay is the thinnest of the sedimentary particles. That blew my mind. I never would have get it's so thick, but
There's
it's the smallest molecule.
there's an analogy a teacher uses where like he's got like a clear bucket at the front of a classroom, and he takes
Yeah.
and he fills it with golf balls. Right, he fills it to the top with golf balls, and it's a clear. Let's say it's a clear vessel, and he fills it with golf balls, and he asks everybody in the classroom, "Is this bucket full?" And everybody in the classroom raises their hands and they go, "Yes." And then he takes ball bearings and he pours them in there, and it fills in all the cracks in the middle. And he asks the classroom, "Is this full?" And they all raise their hand. They say yes. And then he takes sand, and that fills in the holes. And then he takes water. And so, like, what people's view of full, like, you have all these. We're talking about like such small areas. And so, what you fill all these things, and that's where the colloidal clay, like, if you were to break it down on particle size, the colloidal clay is that sand sized particle. You know what I mean? It's the smaller one that's really filling in the smaller holes in which all your soil is negatively charged. So those positively charged particles in which that's your elements that you're adding in there, your N, your P, your K, your all the rest of that stuff. That's the more that you have uh, negatively charged ions in there, the more places there are for it to attach and be able to exchange. It's pretty.
And that what Gabe is talking about is the thing that people like to talk about but never understand the cation exchange capacity. We'll say CEC like we know what we're talking about, but what Gabe's talking about different ion numbers degrading at different rates to become bioavailable. That's actually what this shit means.
So
He's
there,
talked to me about this at length, and I'm still just now wrapping my heads around it.
so there's what's called covalent bond, and that's what's really important about it is and it's really simple to understand because the plant out of its roots, it's putting out different elements, hydrogen and carbon and stuff like that. and hydrogen and oxygen, I should say, and it's putting out these different elements, and they're charged in and of themselves, but they're going to go to the negatively charged. They're attracted to the negatively charged ions. So that's where it really all happens. And then again, like we talk about, there's a certain amount of things happening with the trichoderma and the bacillus where they're interacting with the sugars that are excreted from the roots. They're eating that as food, and they're helping break down these elements, the nitrogen and stuff like that in the soil, making it hyper available for the plant. So there's a lot of different stuff that's happening all at the same time so that these things can be utilized. It's actually funny, the other episode that I'm writing is the know your genetics episode, where first off, the first thing we're going to discuss is uh, I'm smoking on some live rosin from NWO.
Nice. I'm smoking on some live resin from G Money Love.
Nice. What are you smoking? That the
Dude, all I smoke is my emergency and your Gary Payton. I have a selection of dab. I got like a dozen different dab containers right here on my shelf. All I do is smoke the emergency and your Gary Payton, dude. I don't know. There's something about it. There's some happy terp in this Gary. It makes I'll be sitting on the couch and I'll have the thought, why am I happy? I'm never happy. Why do I feel? And I go, oh, I just took like 3 dabs of the Gary like 10 minutes ago.
yeah. So anyway, we're gonna discuss first off that whole sativa indica nonsense, and just really kind of just. I mean, look, man. Uh, a lot of it is more just how it grows. Now
So
that
I just got a weird sound notification. I was like, "What is this sound?" I never hear the enter the screen sound, and you know what it was? It was Eugene Green Monroe popping in.
Mr. Eugene Monroe.
What's good, fellas? What's good, Grambo, my dude? Another week in a row. I'm seeing you on the Sunday, man. What's happening?
Yeah, praise Jesus. Am I right?
Yeah, you right, man. Praise God. My guys are here, man. What's going on? What you smoking on?
I'm smoking some of Gabe's Gary Payton. You walked in right as I was complimenting your boy on him and Kind Bill have put together this Gary Payton. It's some of the only, I'll just say weed in general that makes me, I'm usually like dead inside. Like I'm like, I'm all taste, and so like people are like, oh, this one makes me sleepy. This one makes me up. And I'm just like, shut up. I feel like they're faking, but this makes me realize like, oh, I still got a little juice left in the old cannabinoid system. My endo is working.
Dude, interestingly enough, uh, some of this stuff that Gene has, home grows legal here in Maryland, so Gene has his four little plants. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But some of the stuff that he's been taking lately is this gasinade, which is actually 1.7% THCV. Mind blowing. Dude. It's a fucking unicorn.
Yeah, tested 31% overall
Oh, we don't got the audio on you, Gene.
Go on mute, Gabe.
Oh yeah.
There you
We're sitting across from each other, so I'm like just trying to be on mute while he's talking.
go.
But yeah, it
Yeah,
tested
that's tricky.
31% overall, 3.3% terps, passed it microbials, passed moisture. So yeah, it tested great. But that interesting number in there was the 1.72 on the THCV, which is coveted by some. Gabe and I have both been charged to hunt it down at points in our career by our MSO counterparts who were looking to, essentially, both companies had a similar idea where they see THCV as a way to sell skinny products, for lack of a better term, right? The THCV, which is known to suppress the appetite.
Huh.
While most people
And so what
consider
stage of
cannabis
the
as, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, if either of you know anything about it, I don't know much about it. Is it a root cannabinoid? Is it one of the later stage degraders that comes in? Like,
I'm not sure at what point it's introduced. It'd be interesting to run the gasinate again, maybe, pull some of it at different times to see if the THCV develops earlier or later. But we talked with Bill about the ability to extract it, isolating that THCV, which he says is possible. So yeah, it'll be interesting to work with.
huh.
And yeah,
Yeah, I was just doing some quick reading about it. It says that it's one of the more rare THC compounds that's not found in all cannabis.
when I was a Curaleaf, there was like a $50,000 bounty on it. Like if you could bring something that had significant THC to the counter, they're they're
Wow.
they're looking at it, and Eugene and I have seen it a little bit more from an MSO perspective, but they look at it as what they call the soccer mom cannabinoid. So
Right.
basically a soccer mom can be smoking it on the sidelines of her game in a cart, and no one knows the difference, and she doesn't have to eat the rest of the day because she smoked it. So that's really, I mean, look, I'm not a fan of Schedule 3, but the reality is that I don't know how much choice we have in the fucking matter in the first place, and second of
None. None.
all, that is the stuff that will lead to us getting more information on some of these. Eugene, you're muted.
Sorry, and Gabe left the room, so we're cool. I was just gonna say, man, you're exactly right, Gabe. And our ability to research this and understand this with the same depth that we can look at, much harsher drugs, quite frankly, it's going to be key, man. Like finding these compounds, being able to harvest specific cannabinoids to isolate them and create targeted medical solutions for people is going to be the way.
I'm gonna be honest with you too, man. Like Gene has access to. We had some young players that aren't in the league yet that will be getting drafted in the next
And this is the NFL, so just
yeah.
because I always like we get lots of new viewership every single week here. So Gene is a former first round NFL draft pick and player, currently retired, helping guide the NFL to a little bit more common sense cannabis law with whatever leverage he has with some of the old crew. So still hanging out with the rookies. It's still an issue, huh?
Well, and he thing that
It's less of an issue. We Gabe was at
That's
my
good.
house and we had a few current college players and from various parts of the country, with different perspectives, right? We had one guy here who essentially told us he's been consuming since he was 12 years old. And then another who really doesn't consume at all. He's tried some edibles and he's just trying to understand it all. But the news broke this week that the NCAA has removed cannabis from, completely removed it from its substance abuse policy. And so, whether these guys are consuming or not, the interesting thing is NFL teams still want to know, right? So while they've laxed on their policies a bit, they have not completely removed testing cannabis from the NFL side. So, while these guys are free to consume, I'll be interested to see the impact if those rules don't change on the NFL side. What's the league going to do with this screening? What are they going to do with that information? They're trying to decide, between one player and another. Does cannabis become a thing now that they can say, well, this guy, he tested positive, so he's going to be more risky, right? From their perspective,
Do
we'll see what
teams,
happens.
can I ask, do teams like Denver, like if you were playing for Houston versus Denver, does that have any like effect on like, or is it just like league mandate?
I
You
would
know,
assume that common sense tells you if a player's in a place where it's legal, the likelihood that you know I would say this. I would be happier on that side knowing that the product that the players are getting has been tested, right? Like, so they're not just getting it off the streets like, guys in places. And there are not many teams, now where cannabis isn't accessible, whether it's medical or adult use. Like here in
Oh, that's
Maryland, the
interesting.
Ravens can just, go out after practice and grab whatever they want.
Yeah. I
It's
didn't think about
fully
that. The
legal. Yeah.
likelihood that you have a football team means you're most likely okay with weed too. You're enough of a
Yeah.
metropolis to, you know.
Yeah, much of the bigger cities now, outside of like the Florida teams, but there's still a medical system that they all qualify to access, and many of those players are. So, I just hope that along with the talk of these changes, the NFL just be real. Like we all see what this is. Players aren't dumb. In fact, many of them know far more than the people imposing these rules on them. And it'd be a good deal to see education, showing players who, what, where, when, how, to use cannabis to their benefit for their recovery. So they can feel better and take less opioids and take less anti-inflammatory drugs, and take less sleep medicine and less anxiety medicine and less gastro medicine and all the other things.
Man,
One
when you break it down like that, it does like no wonder medical marijuana became a thing. Cannabis, kind of a miracle drug. When you start listing it, it's like, damn, it's good
Well,
for you.
that was honestly, that was kind of the whole point of the discussion with those kids, because when Eugene was drafted, uh, it was no way, no how. Like, it was, this is going to cost you a lot of money if you ever even get caught with it. Whereas, these kids are in a whole different position nowadays, with being able to get paid as players in college, being able to get sponsorship in college and actually collect revenue. It's really great for these kids, but they need to know as well, like, hey, uh the team's going to offer you these drugs. There's alternatives. You know what I mean? Because
Portal.
Gene would tell you, before and after every game, you're lining up with the trainer, picking up your drugs.
It's not just the games; it's every day. It's practice. It's each day of the week. So some of these drugs you're told, to cycle off of. Meanwhile, as a player, you're taking a high dose of it every single day over a long period of time, and then you play through the season, and you find yourself in the off season, needing to A, recover, and B, train to prepare for the next season. And so you're very likely still taking some combination of drugs just to push through your entire career.
Mm.
Once you're on, you're pretty much on. And so to have the option to do it in a much healthier way, um, it's incredible that we've seen this massive change on the college level. I would have thought we'd seen the NFL change first, and we'd see that trickle down effect. But the NCAA was at least bold on the right issue here. So, um, kudos to the guys who can now take care of themselves and not be subject to these pharmaceutical drugs, man, because I've been through it. It's still going on, and it really hasn't changed in terms of the drug culture. Those drugs work. If you need to mitigate pain so those muscles can still perform, you take those pills and you're back on the field. But long term, we all know that's not good. And then we also know that so many people, whether it's NFL players or just like the 16-year-old girl who, hurt her ankle at soccer and now she's addicted. We can stop that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a back injury playing not real hockey, adult league men's hockey in my late 20s. Just dashed in the boards wrong, banged up my back, and the doctor's like, "Oh yeah, you're good. Here, sign the contract saying you won't sue us and just take drugs." This is 2006, 2007, so right in the heart of when it kicked up. And yeah, I swear, our friend JR Token from the Cannabis podcast, he has this great quote on cannabis and drug addiction, is that cannabis started as a gateway drug and now it's an exit. You get off that nasty stuff. That's how I got off opioids using edibles. People always think I have a high tolerance. I can take 300 milligrams without blinking an eye. And it goes, well, because I used to take way harder shit than edibles. You know, I took 24 Vicodin in one day one time. I almost died just from liver failure, not from opioids. That's one of the other things about all your boys taking all those drugs is actually not the drugs. It's your kidneys, your liver. Dear God.
Yeah. I mean, again, when I reference the drugs, I also mention the gastro issues, right? Because a lot of those drugs cause secondary problems, and now you're taking a medication just to deal with the symptoms that the painkillers or the anti-inflammatories cause.
There
So
was a
you're just
Super Bowl
you're
commercial years ago where it was like, "Do you have opioid related constipation? Well, then take this drug. Do you take so much Vicodin you can't shit? Well, here's a shitting medication for your drug." It's like, what are we doing?
it's toxic, man. It's toxic. A new day is coming. A new day is on the way, man. I'm glad to see there's movement. It's definitely
He doesn't mean bowel
polarizing.
movement.
No, I just mean in terms of, there's some light that these cannabis laws are changing for real. And the on one hand, how will this be done? How will they treat prior offenders? Um, Maryland just pardoned 175,000 people with cannabis related charges. That should be something that's instant, along with any talk of changing the scheduling and get people home, and clear those records so they don't have problems trying to feed their families. Um, that's first and foremost with any of this. But yeah, just understanding what's going to happen with that is critical. You got people who are concerned with cannabis being sold across state lines. But before we talk about the market, we got to, I think, talk about the people who really even created this framework that people are ready to sink their teeth into. Um, yeah, my little spiel on legalization.
Well, interestingly enough, it's and you can go. I would encourage anybody to go and watch the episodes we did with Eugene as far as his history with cannabis, because unlike myself, who my parents were drug dealers. I had cannabis in my life my entire life. I remember my mom smoking around me as a small child. I used to smoke weed with my mom at like 16. So I have a whole different outlook. Whereas Eugene, I'm not gonna share how he grew up as a kid, but the reality is, dealing with weed was sacrificing millions and millions of dollars. So he was very anti-weed until he wasn't. You know what I mean? Which realistically, Gene's been smoking weed not even 10 years, but his exposure and what he's been involved with, whether it's projects in Louisiana or helping start GTI, which is still one of the only profitable MSOs out there, to just seeing garden after garden after garden. And not for nothing, Gene is so passionate about gardening that he's got his own here at the compound. He's got his own vegetable garden that absolutely rips every year with tomatoes and watermelons and all
Nice.
different things. We've me and him and his uncle have planted trees out here, so like he's very passionate about plants. I think, Eugene has some projects he's working on here on the East Coast, but it's very different from what I've seen with most other companies, or most other projects anywhere, because most projects, when you look at especially when you look at the MSOs, it's just people with money trying to make more money. But the reality is, if they lose the money, they still have a bunch of money, and if you look at any acreage, GTI, Curaleaf, any of them, they're all owned by very rich men that can afford for those companies to completely disappear, and they will be fine. So Eugene's exposure to a lot of different things, and that's one of the reasons I think we've become such good friends over the years, is just, we look at it as medicine. We look at it as really wanting to just smoke fire as shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what it comes down to. Like, the quest to smoke just stupid fire. You know what I mean?
Best for the best, baby.
We don't like, bro, we've been all over the place, both of us, and we don't care. I don't discriminate if it's from California or Michigan, Chicago. I don't give a fuck. If I spot something that is absolute fire, I'm gonna be like, bro, where, dude, this was worth it. You know what I mean?
Mm. So on that subject, fucking cannabis and health. Obviously, we talked about it last week. If you guys are familiar with Gabe at all, he's gone to the gym some preposterous 500 some odd days in a row. 600. And then all you got to do is look at Gene to know this motherfucker's an Adonis. How does cannabis in health factor into your guys' lifestyle? Because I know you're both trying to live healthy. I have been the stereotypic fat, lazy, pear-shaped stoner for 35 years. And now in the last couple of years, I've tried to dig my way out of it. And I'm always wondering, it's like, how much is it affecting my lungs taking these giant dabs? Is edibles doing something I don't know? Should I be doing more edibles, less edibles, smoking? How does smoking ganja affect you guys in working out? Let's
in
talk
terms
working
of
out.
in terms of working out, really for me, it's it's allowed for me to completely change my body composition because I feel better when I consume. So I'll go train even harder. There's also an aspect of, you know, feeling more in tune with the movement that you're going through. And so, like, I love the experience training with cannabis. And I do so prior, I do so during, I'll do so after. Uh,
There you go,
and
mailman.
and yeah, it's in
Yes.
terms of being lazy, right? If you're not exercising, you need to move your body, whether you call yourself lazy because of a substance or not. I mean, your health is paramount. Um, and there's some things in life you can't even experience if you're not in good shape, right? And you don't want to be limited. Gabe goes and hikes to some of the most beautiful parts of the world, and you got to be in shape to actually enjoy that experience.
Right.
So even for that little fact, I think it's important to be in shape, and cannabis can help you do that. If you're someone who has some type of physical issue, that hinders you, if it can help you feel better, just start by going out for a walk. That's it. Just walk every day.
That's what I started doing. I started taking like 300 milligrams of edibles, and I go out for like 5-6 mile jog walks. And all of a sudden, I'll be doing audiobooks. All of a sudden, I realize, like, dude, I'm fucking lost as fuck. I don't know where the fuck I'm going. I had to develop a system of like I remember I cross at the end of the block. So no matter what way I'm going, if I take a right at a block, I keep going, and then so if I know at the end of the block, I go, where am I? And I go, just cross, baby. Just keep walking. Yeah, I have a system, so I don't know where the fuck I am. I could still get home. So yeah, I definitely. But so I started lifting a little bit of weights here last year and started going. I flaked on it over the winter, but man, when I would just get like, I'd wake up in the morning, I take a fat dab, and I do my ab workout exercise, and it almost, I couldn't convince myself 10 years ago that's true. It almost became enjoyable. The torture, like the
Get started
feeling of that.
tomorrow.
I funnily you say, like, because I had daddy daughter weekend here this weekend for the last month. My buddy, nice guy Kenny, talked me into here this last month. He's like, dude, just go home, do 5 push-ups, just commit to it. And there's something about the mind shift where I was like, oh, I can commit to doing that. That I started like eating better, taking care of myself a little bit better. And now my kid was all day, daddy, chase me, chase me, chase me. And at the end of it, I was surprised to feel I don't feel like shit today. I actually feel like, hey, I can stream and talk and I still got some energy. Whereas 6 months ago, holy shit, I would have died fucking running around with her.
I want you to look at it this way, my friend. I've had day one 682 days in a row now.
That's
But
so crazy.
every day is day one. Every day is day one. And it's like that Jay-Z song. You got to treat everything like your first project. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter how many times you've done the same thing. I preach that. I preach that when it comes to like mixing pesticides or any of that stuff. Like the minute that you don't treat it like it's your first project is the day that you fail. It's the day that you screw up. It's the day that you forget. There's certain things in the grow. You always check the lights, you always check the fans, you always check the whatever. The day that you forget to do that, the day that you don't do that is the day that something's going to get screwed up. You know what I mean? And that's really one of the devil's in the details, when it comes down to it. That's one of the things I think people don't realize is that the devil's really in the details, and you gotta. Now, granted, there's tools to help you monitor these things, but you've got to, and you could set alarms so that way if anything goes out of the parameters, you have alarms, but those are fail safes. When you walk into a room, you still check your humidity, you still check all your stuff.
Who you
That
got there, Gene?
that's a great picture.
I was going through my phone and found this picture of Gabe and the
Oh,
man.
Jesus. That, I didn't
That's
even recognize Gabe without the beard.
that's me and Redman. And
Oh, man.
the funny thing about that was Brandon came and got me. Was like, hey man, you love Redman, you go over and see him. And I go over and I don't remember if Eugene called me or what the story was, but I told Redman that I was on the phone with Eugene, and I ended up passing him my phone, and him and Eugene and our buddy Leo and Redman and Safita, they
Yeah.
all they all end up having this conversation. They end up stealing my phone for like 5 minutes.
Nice.
But
People at the
yeah,
top are always so cool. When you meet people that like are at the top of things that are very, very hard to get to the top to, there's just like a lack of ego. Like there's always the meme of the celebrity that's like over the top. That exists, but a lot of times when you meet the top athletes, the top musicians, the top cannabis growers, very humble, very nice. They understand it's a long way to the top.
depends. I've worked for a decent amount of rich people in my life, and some of them were real cocksuckers. But
Well,
a
I
lot
didn't
of
say rich. I just mean, you know, so some people it's there's like I want to start doing jujitsu here late in life. And one of the reasons is to humble me, to like let men have my life in their hands and ask them to not take it, to try to humble my ego as I get more popular on earth. And I'm not slowing down. I'm only going to speed up as this train gets going. I'm going to become a tyrant if I don't get myself in check, man. Like I already see like there's certain people in my own life where I see as they're growing up in comedy or business, and they're getting a little bit too big for their britches, and I want to beat that out of me real quick. Like,
Time for a 14er.
Oh my god, dude, I would fucking die. I don't know how you do that, Gabe. Like being a smoker and going up,
So
those hikes are so brutal.
I was gonna say about your health. When I was a teenager and when I moved to Colorado, I had some relatively significant asthma issues. And asthma really is an inflammation of there you go, is an inflammation of the walls of your lungs, and it basically kind of chokes off your airways. And I'll be honest with you, man, like I really attribute a lot of my being able to do the 14ers and not having problems with asthma anymore to my cannabis usage. Now, ironically enough, it's pretty funny nowadays because I always get in this discussion with people, and and people are like, "Oh man, like uh you don't smoke flower," and I'm like, "Nah, dude, I only smoke hash because I find that
Do you not? I guess I'd never really paid attention to that. I thought I'd seen you hit joints from
I
time to
do
time, right? Just
not
a
say
social.
I don't ever smoke it. Like I'm not gonna tell you
Yeah.
they're gonna pass me a
Yeah,
joint.
I'm becoming the same way. It just slowly
Yeah,
me from 10 years ago would be appalled that I'm not. I was a Bic lighter and glass spoon guy, and I just pack bowls perpetually for 30 fucking years. And yeah, I'm just doing concentrates and social bud now.
yeah, and
Are
mailman,
you pressing? Are you making any of your own concentrate?
Gene, I am, and with no hubris, I swear to God. Gabe, did you get to smoke my emergency?
it did. It was nice. It was really
It's
nice.
very, very, very good. I couldn't believe it was my
Wait,
first
hold on.
time.
Is that you got your own packaging too?
No, no, no. This is our buddy taking tops. He's the glob father, so he's got Brando on his packaging. So yeah, I used his. It's so funny how like we won't say the black market, but we'll go with the gray market. That's it's kind of a blurred lines in Colorado out here. What's allowed and what's not sometimes, but like all of the illegal packaging is nicer than the legal packaging. It's
Oh,
hysterical. My
oh,
friends have nicer jars than actual dispensary concentrate companies.
it it's amazing how the action on a jar, it's almost like a fidget spinner. Like
Yeah,
how
dude.
like our buddy NWO, the action on his jars just feels so good, dude.
That's so funny.
They're very pleasing to open. His package.
Yeah, and the texture of the print like helps you open it almost.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it's got a little grip to it. I saw you. I'm hitting my Dr. Dabber over here. What was that? Did I spot you hitting a Carta? Is that what you got there, Gene?
Yeah, the Carter
Yeah.
version
The
two.
Carta, it always reminds me of the Dab X, but the Dab X as like the center one. I don't like the Dab X. Adam Dunn and my buddy Banner tried to get me into it, and I don't like the Dab X. I like the Carta and the Puffco and the Dabber.
Yeah, Carter's probably my number one right now. Yeah, I've
I
been
would.
ripping this thing. I just like that it has the screen, so it's easier to dial the temperature. However, I have gotten used to the Puffco app, which allows you to control it pretty good too.
And you got that sick attachment for the Puffco that is
Yeah,
like,
and I do like the new Puffco XL bowl. I know Carter drops their bowl in a week or so. I think they're like XL version, but the Puffco one is nice.
My man knows when vape drops are coming.
Hey
I love this
man,
era. You know what
in
I
the
try not
culture,
to do?
man, in the culture.
I'm really trying. 420 reminded me about this. When 420 came, my kind of view on it was kind of like St. Patrick's Day, where it's like, it's amateur hour. I'm just gonna stay home. Then I caught myself and I was like, dude, don't become a crotchety old man. Don't become hipster weed. I fought for this normalization of cannabis for the better part of my life. And now that it's here, I damn well am going to appreciate it. And so all the hipster things that annoy me about youth cannabis culture, I'm trying to not be old man shakes his hand at weed cloud. There's a meme. Old stoner shakes fist at weed cloud.
you were in New York at Washington Square with like a couple thousand people. People had pound. I shit you not. People had pound Mylar bags. It was honestly, dude. AJ was out there. JJ was out there. People were selling seeds. I think I had a buddy of mine who said they sold 180 ounces out there. And
Fidel's was out there. Archive was out there. Wizard Trees was out there. Dojo was out there.
it was awesome. It was awesome, bro. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This is the I appreciate that the culture is still staying strong, you know, and has the right people kind of doing things.
Yeah. That's one of the things that, so I hooked up with the Dude Grow show, and then I hooked up with you guys. And so I kind of, I wasn't sure. It's like, am I going comedy? And like, where's my path I'm heading? And once I hooked up with you guys, I was like, dude, cannabis is like where I am going with this. And one of the things that kind of led me to that is like, as a cannabis media producer, right? There's going to be a lot of shills. There's going to be versions of me producing shows that are just egghead number guys that don't smoke weed. And I was like, I kind of have an obligation to be the real life cannabis producer. I smoke and toke and joke with the best of them, man. So yeah, I really feel this like you can't get out now. I always will give the guys speeches like in any sort of like podcast or any, this is the time to be in cannabis, and that it's going to be harder before it gets easier, and we can't give up now, man. We all fought for this, all of us, all the people in chat. There's 100 people in chat. You all fought for it. It's our goddamn God-given right, and I'll be goddamn it, they're going to take it away. Sorry. Now I'm the one off on the right. I just took like 4 fucking dabs of this emergency, and it gets me going, man. I like it.
That stuff's racist, bro.
Yeah, I grew the emergency once.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
just had
fell in
one
love
six
with
pack
it.
of it. I didn't keep any of them. Yeah, I didn't grow anything that I wanted to keep, but I did enjoy it.
Speaking of grow, like I just kind of was thinking about it, Gabe. You're out on the road. What do you grow at home? Like you're always building those commercial grows. How do you grow at home? I never really asked you about that. Are you a tent guy? Do you got a room?
I got a room.
Okay, yeah. It's one of the things that's the hardest for me right now is like I was always a high level quality production black market guy, and that's where I did all my focus. And so once I got divorced, and this is my first time ever growing in a tent, and I was actually really scared. I was like, dude, I don't know how I'm going to prevent PM. How do you get air movement in a tent? How do you do anything in a tent?
I know people who absolutely murder in tents, so
Oh, of course.
I
Yeah.
don't away from anybody's tent game. What I would say is, if you have the ability to put a room in your house, I would always recommend putting a room in over putting a tent. But I'm not going to take away from those situations. And tent technology is 10 times different than it was even 5 years ago. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
that's
The
if that
ventilation on the AC Infinity system,
all
their tents have
all
the
of it,
best ventilation.
all of it. And honestly, this is all shit that I'm going to cover in that episode where we can discuss it. But the reality is,
Yeah.
build yourself whatever size grow room you can get away with dedicated HVAC, dehumidification, humidification, with supply lines. You're not having to fill stuff. Dehumidifications that goes to a floor drain, so you're not having to drain stuff. But if you can build yourself something like that, I'm always going to recommend that someone have a room, just because the reality is, man, you ever try and crawl into a tent? Like, you ever try and do anything in a tent? It's a freaking.
Yeah.
But again, I've pulled some killer stuff out of tents, so I'm not gonna knock it. Whatever your situation is, I think it's just great that someone grows. But the reality is, I think best. I think if you could do like a 4 light room in your basement, that's really nice. Something with top lights where you have 9 feet, you can really just kind of let things rock and roll. Um,
I was reading chat. Who we got there, Gene?
This is Dosey.
Dosey.
She's got quite the
Oh,
personality.
oh, what up, Dosey? Oh, that's Dosey Doe.
That is Dosey Do, bro, named after the Dosey Do strain.
Very cool meeting
She's a little
Fletcher.
sleepy right
The
now.
Fletcher episode of Jug Dealers Podcast just crossed 40,000 views. So if you haven't seen it, check out. If you like Dosey Doe, Face Off OG. Yeah, it was a great episode, Gabe. That was a great game. I challenged Gabe. I was like, he was very much like, oh man, this Fletcher episode is going to do great. And I was like, sure it is, Gabe, whatever. I didn't quite know Fletcher's story all the way. I didn't know that he was the keeper of the American genetics.
Yeah, Fletch is legendary, bro. There's not, and like I said to him on the show, love him or hate him, like however anybody feels about that cat, there's nobody in the game who doesn't respect him. And most of the people who don't like Fletch because he says shit that they don't necessarily agree with, but he's right.
Yeah. Yeah. We had that. We had Colin from Ethos on, and the comments were literally 50% I fucking hate this guy, and 50% like, man, he's dropping great knowledge. you know,
Colin,
like him or love him. Some of these guys got knowledge,
Wait,
and you got to listen.
where were you on with Colin?
He stopped in at the bakery with Dude Grow Show. He gave us
Okay.
a fuckload of seeds to give away at the cup. So yeah, the people in chat can hate on the way he communicates, but he's a fucking awesome grower and also a very generous human being.
and dude, he's unbelievably smart.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's
Like,
so smart that he's going to fucking talk people down. He was a little bit rude to our buddy Cortez the Conqueror. Cortez is he has a very gentle communication style. And so Colin was just attacking him. And even I was getting mad. I was like, dude, shut the fuck up. You got knowledge, but chill out. Like Cortez he's a sensitive soul. He's a good man.
yeah, no, Colin's gotten himself in trouble with his mouth.
Oh yeah. I mean, Gene's holding his dog real tight.
She's actually just chilling. I was
That's
just
all we're
pulling
gonna
some.
say.
She was off in the woods, so I was pulling some stickies off of her.
See, Gabe saw the comedian in me can never. That's why I like in this cannabis game, I got to keep it real because like the comedian in me pops off, and when I see a joke, I can't not make it.
No,
Sorry.
I love it, man. I love it. It's you
Yeah,
24/7, dude.
he's one of those guys I forget. It's like how controversial. I just know him from like a guy I met, very nice guy, and then I go, oh yeah, there's controversy
You
behind his whole
cannot
stuff.
kick a dog off a balcony and people will forget it. Like there's no one who's gonna forget the story.
Yeah, I
Like
don't know.
where you
I,
are, there's always gonna be somebody in the comments who goes, "Isn't that the dude who kicked the dog off a balcony?" And be like, "Yeah, that's the guy." And then
well, there is
Oh
now.
man, I didn't even realize.
yeah, that's where Grambo
That's
came.
us.
That's where Grambo came in with the
Says you're holding your dog a little tighter now that we brought up Colin.
exactly.
Hold her,
We mentioned,
hold her.
hey, yeah, I won't even say it.
I
Yeah,
don't know him, but I
yeah.
ain't
We can,
worried.
yeah, we can move on. We can move on.
he,
That's the
well,
thing about
I was
this.
gonna say she launched herself off the balcony a couple weeks ago. She didn't need Colin's help.
Oh Jesus! How old is she?
She's
she,
only 6 months old.
she's a
Oh wow!
She's the coolest. She's the coolest little dog.
Look at you. That's like you. That could be like a greeting card for like
Bro,
fucking the Humane Society or
if you ever,
something.
if you ever saw them in the
Like we
woods,
just need you to in the eyes of an angel.
dude, if you ever saw them in the woods, she's so in love with Eugene. It's like the
That's
funniest.
awesome. I
Gene's
miss
like,
having dogs.
My baby girl, man. She goes everywhere with me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, if you can afford it, because that's the thing. If you travel, having a dog with you is a real pain in the ass. So you either have to endure the suffering of traveling with a dog or just stay home.
service dog, bro.
Yeah, no, it's easy peasy for me, man. She's low maintenance. well
That's
trained.
good.
I've seen them deny us with Gene, and Gene's like, "Yo, man, this is my service dog. You can't say nothing." And if they start asking questions, he's like, "Yo, you're violating my HIPAA, dude. Like straight up, this is my service dog. I got
Yeah,
CTE.
yeah,
Leave me alone. Like the dog's
yeah.
coming.
Yeah, we're not even negotiating this. Like,
I'm not up for debate. Like the
Yeah,
dog is
yeah. People would always ask that on job applications. It's like, are you like I don't know if it's still that way, but I know in the early days of marijuana here, the job application, like, do you have a medical marijuana card? It's like, check no. It's illegal. That's an illegal question. Just check no and move on. You don't have to answer that.
soon enough. That's like one of the only good things about Schedule 3. You know,
Yeah, that'll be interesting, huh?
if Hunter Biden had just waited till Schedule 3, he would have been fine.
stop.
Uh, So one of the things that I've also been thinking about, because we are talking about cannabis and health, is like I'll refer to it as wake and baking, but it doesn't have to be proper wake and bake. Just smoking before. I owe it to my buddy Scott that like I smoke way too early, and I always quote Samuel L. Jackson from Jackie Brown. It's like y'all Cheech and Chong motherfuckers smoke all day. See, I smoke when I get my shit done. When my business is done, then I smoke. And I always go, I wonder if he's right. People would look at me like a fairly successful stoner, but sometimes I feel a little bit lazy. How do you guys feel about wake and bake? How late in the day do you wait to smoke?
I mean, again, I smoke or consume, whatever around training, and so I get up and work out. So it's pretty early. I'm getting up and going early.
Like what? Like
So
early, like noon, or like early, or are you
uh,
getting up at like
5, 6 o'clock.
that's so crazy. I just recently started getting up at like 10, and that's early as fuck to me. So it's like I can't imagine
Oh
living that life.
man, by 10, I've got all sorts of stuff done already, man.
Yeah, I here's the thing. I'm not going to defend my lifestyle. I often, when I would sleep till noon and 1 and 2, sometimes I'd be like, dude, the day's over. But I was doing comedy, so it's like
You got
nothing
some
gets.
late nights.
Yeah, and then also now that I'm single, sometimes you gotta stay out late. It's the thing that happens, bro.
No, I understand. I understand.
You don't understand nothing. If I had guns like Eugene, I would. If I had guns like Eugene, it's like you don't know if I'm talking in the first and third party. Maybe I'm
Clever,
showing how high and nerdy I am. Gene,
clever.
this is here's what I always say about some of my comedy is that I write the most perfectly worded unfunny jokes. People just go, "Oh, that's very clever." They never go, "That's very funny."
No,
Hell yeah.
but
So what
that was clever.
Yeah, well, I have a 5-minute slam rap poetry pun that contains such nuggets like let us be serious. Catch up, mustard. It's horrible. I was
that
gonna make shirts that say "Let us be serious" with a head of lettuce.
that's punny. Uh,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I actually backed off when I did this trip up to Yellowstone with my kid because I didn't want to. I wanted to not be high during the day when I was hanging out with him and stuff and doing. Not to mention Wyoming laws are fucked.
Right.
But generally, I'm doing dabs when I get up.
Okay. Yeah, it's
And
interesting.
I'll
Sometimes
do.
I wonder if no, continue.
I was gonna say I'll do dabs throughout the day. It really just depends on if I'm riding my Harley too. Like if I'm riding my Harley, I won't really. I'll back down. You know what I mean? Because I'm not trying to be high. Like I won't drink and ride my bike at all. You know. Uh,
Yeah, that's a
but
smart move.
and then the flip side is like, bro, if we go out and ski, like bro, I gotta be significantly like if I'm good, if I've had a couple dabs, bro, I will ride like a goddamn teenager. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things where I really see the most is that I'll definitely see it enhance things. It some of those shots you put up of me on the 14ers, like I'll definitely do some dabs at the top of a 14er. You know, I'll wait till
Yeah.
I get top
Well, that's
rod.
a victory dab. Come on. Speaking of that, here, let's close on that. How freaking ripped does that make you? I've never smoked at that altitude. Does it really? Do you notice when you get up there? It's like wow, or
Yeah,
is it
I
fairly
mean,
stable?
blood you've gotten flowing on the way up there. Yeah, no, it's a good.
That's hilarious.
Paired with that experience, just being high up there, you gotta feel great.
Yeah, yeah, that's freaking crazy. Well,
Let's
I
do
know
it,
you guys are out.
Grambo. Three of
You're
us.
out on the. I'm if you two are bringing me, I'm going. Fuck it. We're gonna do a podcast at the top of that bitch.
We'll do it the whole way. I'll bring the DJ Osmo. We'll just film
Oh,
it the
do it.
whole way.
I'm in, man. So if you guys want to tune in to us live streaming my death on camera, watch for this podcast coming out very soon. I do anything for the views, Gene. Let's do this.
Bro, we'll drag you up there. We'll go do Sherman. Sherman's an easy one.
You can't get much viral than dead. you know, that's as viral as you can get. So I know Gene's house turns into a pumpkin in about fucking 180 seconds. So
Yeah,
we're
we're
gonna wrap
almost
this
there,
one up.
baby.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to like I said, everybody in chat. We about 100 strong all through the show right now. Everyone here knows who you guys are, but a couple thousand people will watch this over the next week. So how can they find you? We'll start with you, Gene. How can people find you?
At Eugene Green Monroe. Find me on
Yes.
Instagram at Eugene Green Monroe.
Fuck yeah. And obviously, we know Gabe is G Money Love. You care to spell that? I forgot the people that want to find you there.
All used, baby. Only because G Money Love is actually taken. But
Yeah,
GMUILUV, same way it's been since I was a teenager. G Money.
we got to get you to change it to like Gabe Jug or something. Something where people could find you.
So
But I'm
why it's
no,
like
yeah.
I used to
Why is
work
that?
when I used to do construction. On your hard hats, you'd always
Uh
hard hat. So I would always
yeah.
and a dollar sign and a heart so people would know my hard hat because I didn't want to be G Money because I didn't want to be associated with just money. I didn't want to be G Love
Right.
because G Love is already a singer
Sounds a
from
little
G
yeah.
Special Sauce. He's a,
Yes.
he's a singer. His real name is Garrett. I actually know him, but he's from Philly. So G Money Love was the next rational name.
Hell yeah. We'll find these guys literally two. Oh, and it's a pumpkin. Find them. They're awesome freaking cannabis people and awesome people. So I'm glad I got to see you guys twice. And Gene, I'll see you when I see you, but I'll see you when you get back to the mountain, Gaber.
Happy 710, Grambo.
Yes. Oh, damn. Yeah, that's good. That's coming up. I won't
Few
see you.
days
So yeah.
away.
Wednesday, bro.
Happy 710 to everybody.
Happy 710, y'all.
Well, thanks for
Put
2 weeks in a
hash
row, you
on.
guys. It was awesome to see you again.
Thank you.
Peace.
All right, later, boys. Hell yeah. So you guys know I'm not sponsored by anybody. This is always just what I do. But if you want to get a grow hat, Grambo.shop, if you want to pick that up. And what also helps me out and also helps out Gabe is go check out jugdealers.shop. Jugdealers.net is up there. I'm gonna cancel this stream. I'm gonna turn it off and I'm gonna walk upstairs. I'm gonna go foliar my plants with some silicium. They need a little IPM wash, and every time I do any sort of foliar, I always throw the silicium in there. So check it out, jugdealers.net. It's good stuff. And if you want to become a channel member, any of the tips, that's going to go towards making I stream every Sunday, but I only make a video like once every other month. So I'm going to pay someone to become an editor and camera guy, and maybe it'll be one of the Church of Cannabis guys, maybe it'll be one of the DGC, maybe it'll be one of you right there in chat that is Colorado homies. So thank you guys for all the support, and Dude Grows Cannabis short form comes out 9 in the morning tomorrow. So check out that brand new channel, Dude Grows Cannabis. And then Jug Dealers Podcast on Tuesday. You guys know the schedule. Jug Dealers on Tuesday. Dude Grows on Wednesday. Nothing on Thursday. Friday, something. Saturday, Dude Grows. Sunday, Grambo Grows. Hey, guys. Love you. We're going to be doing Jug Dealers question and answer thing. Oh, before I go, I'm going to announce to you guys first, because most likely you already follow me on Instagram. I had some extra silicium. I brought this to the cup, Jaron and I, and we got so stoned and chatting that we didn't give them away. So I have 7 mini bottles of the silicium. So I'm going to do 7 days of silicium on Instagram. Follow me at Josh Grambo. Don't follow the Grambo Grows. Follow the at Josh Grambo. And when I post the post, tag 2 friends, tag 2 people that don't follow me. And I'm trying to build out my Instagram. I'm almost to 2,000 followers. And I really want to build that out, and that really future-proofs me for any sort of chaos that goes out there. Helps me with comedy, dating, any of that stuff. So yeah, 7 days of silicium. I'm gonna give away 7 of the individual bottles, and if you foliar the way that I do, that little bottle will last you months and months and months. So you can try it before you buy it, find out if you like it. So yeah, follow me over at Josh Grambo, and I'm gonna do the 7 days of silicium probably. Yeah, maybe for 7/10. Maybe I'll announce it on 7/10, and then on the 17th I will announce the winners. We'll give away 7 1 day a week every day for 7/10. How about that? So follow me over at Josh Grambo, and yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate you. All the love. Grambo.shop for a grow hat or a Grambo shirt, and yeah, that's it. Love you guys. Gramborg, we out. We'll see you next Sunday.
We're dropping knowledge on Grambo Grows, talking about plants and how they go. Let's go. From seeds to the cure, we always smoke pure.